Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to the podcast. And I'm really looking forward to you hearing from Eli Singer. Welcome, Eli.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yes, and Eli, his book that he's written, and he's going to talk more about that. But also, his company is called Offline Now, and so we're going to talk a little bit about digital overwhelm and all of the things around that, and how it applies to what we do. So, Eli, as I start with everyone, tell folks a little more about yourself and how you've landed where you've landed.
Sure. So I live in Toronto, Canada. I'm pushing 50. Hard to believe. Early in my career, I built one of North America's first social media agencies. The focus was really on kind of building community because that's what the web was all about, bringing people together. And I built the blogs for the Museum of Modern Art and then large brands. We grew to about 30 people, exited, and I always had a loving and uncomfortable relationship with technology. After we sold the agency, we bought a 40-foot trailer and lived off grid for a bit in the summers, and I just really kind of had a reaction to my relationship with the web. I moved into ADHD coaching, supporting people with, leaders in the digital space, and always was a strong advocate for building healthier relationships with screens. It's just always been important to me. I don't really use social media myself. I never have. I didn't really like the way it made me feel, and I was looking to build a practice around this, and I developed a methodology, motivation confidence methodology called the Offline Now Matrix. And I felt it was better served, given just how much need there was out there, turning that into a book and a methodology for others to use. But also just seeing some of the challenges that independent therapists, social workers, coaches are experiencing these days developing business. I also put on my digital strategy hat, and I'm building a platform to help independent practitioners grow their practice. So it's sort of a helping individuals and helping practitioners running up the middle. I'm building Offline Now out of the University of Toronto. I'm in their entrepreneurship stream and affiliated with the Medical School Accelerator and the Continuing Education Accelerator, which is where applied psychology lives. And
Oh,
I'm
so
also
cool.
now the Canadian ambassador for the Global Day of Unplugging, which I'm
Yeah.
excited to talk about. So.
Okay, that's great. That's great. It's interesting how there's been so much press, it seems, here lately. In fact, I was watching a segment on the news last night about several different apps that have been developed for teens at different levels to get them offline more. And
Hmm.
so it's a really, I think most everybody concurs is that there's almost an addiction to it to some degree. And I know I spend way too much time on my device and that sort of thing. And so, yeah, I'm curious, what have you learned so far about that and how it's affecting all of us?
Sure. I just want to put in there, I know you mentioned the word addiction, so I'm not clinical, I'm a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I typically focus on populations over 18, although my work is certainly applicable to younger
Sure,
individuals.
sure.
I mean, what's interesting is that digital addiction or internet addiction is relatively new. Not There's a lot of fighting over how it's defined. Areas of problem technology use and digital dependence is more where I focus. But if you
Mm-hmm.
look at the data in the US, 7% of adults are clinically have a digital addiction issue, but 50% of adults will say that they believe they have a phone addiction. And
Mm-hmm.
so you can
Mm-hmm.
see how people are self-reporting that things just aren't right.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a quick motivation, confidence, two-question assessment that we have on the site, which drops you into one of four types: overwhelmed, ready, unconcerned, and stuck. And we're finding 50% of people self-identify as overwhelmed. So they have high
Mm-hmm.
motivation, I want to make a change, and just low self-confidence, I just don't believe I can do it when I want to. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where we're spending our time focusing on really trying to change the conversation that your phone habits are about confidence, not about
Mm-hmm.
willpower.
Right. I love that reframe on that.
Hmm.
It's yeah. So tell us about the different pillars and the things that you've kind of put together as a way of conceptualizing all of this.
Right. So there really isn't a language that people have around how I'm feeling about my relationship with my device. And so when it comes time to change that relationship, it's hard to even know where to start, right? If you think about
Mm-hmm.
going to the gym or quitting smoking, like if you go to the gym and you say, I want to be healthy, I haven't gone before, I'm going to go every day for 5 hours and lift and run and do whatever, you're likely going to hurt yourself and never go back.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to behavior change, it's crucial that you start in the right place. And so what we do is we ask people two simple questions like, how motivated are you to use your phone less or use it less before bed or stop gaming or online dating as much or online shopping or watching porn, what have you, on a scale of 1 to 6? And then how confident are you in your ability to do that in the moment when you want to? One to
Mm-hmm.
six. And it creates a 2 by 2, lows and highs in each one of those areas. And so each one of those four types then, ready, stuck, unconcerned, and overwhelmed, aims to give people the ability to name where they're at, which is very comforting for people. Oh, I'm overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed. I can name that. Oh, I'm stuck. Okay, well, let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
what it means to be stuck and how you get unstuck. So it sort of like unlocks a bit of a vocabulary and unlocks a starting place for the conversation. And the approach is also very much meeting people where they're at without shame, without judgment, and realizing that the change that they want to make is just really personal to them. Everyone's
Mm-hmm.
got different context and life circumstances, and let's meet you where you're at without rules,
Mm-hmm.
and without imposing kind of external, mandates. And we're finding people respond really well to that.
Yeah. 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 I think it's, yeah, the word overwhelm is always, I think when I think about all the digital things that I do, I think about email inbox
Hmm.
can be overwhelming, all of those things. And I think what you bring up is, I think, a good place to start for anybody with anything. And that's okay. What is it that you want to change? Why do you want to change any of it to
Hmm.
begin with, kind of thing?
Hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Absolutely. You that's especially important with your phone or a device or a screen because it's best to start with a particular behavior or outcome that you want to get to. And then you can start identifying either the times of day or the behavior patterns that you want to start to circumvent or shift. And then also, when you do start developing more time because you're using your device less, it's important that you fill that time with something so that you don't
Hmm.
revert back to your old patterns.
Hmm.
Um, and also, it can be very specific in people's lives. Like I speak to people that feel really terrible because their device is really impacting their sleep. Everyone's telling them they shouldn't have it in their room, their bedroom when they go to bed. But they're also a caregiver for a parent that could call at 2 in the morning and need some help.
Hmm. Right.
And so in their life, reading a news article about keep your phone out of your bedroom is the most important thing you can do is not helpful, right?
Yeah. Right.
In fact, it just tells someone that their life circumstance means there's just no way out.
Right. Right.
And, I was speaking with someone about that the other day who had been locked in that for months. And I said, what about getting a Bluetooth handset that even looks like an old school dial up phone? And you can just put that by your bed and it'll be connected to your
Hmm.
phone and it'll
Hmm.
ring if someone calls and you can pick up the phone and answer it. But
Hmm.
it isn't
Hmm.
going to be a crutch if you wake up at 2 in the morning where you can read your email or check this feed or check that feed, or
Hmm.
it's not going to
Hmm.
ask that of you. It only does one
Right.
thing. And we're talking about a medical professional here that works in the addiction space, right?
Hmm.
And is on television talking to families and parents. And that was an opportunity or an insight that she just did not see or think was
Hmm.
possible. So
Hmm.
it just shows you that there are practical, real solutions available out there right now. You just have to kind of change your mindset a bit and find them.
Yeah, that is such a cool thing. I know in just working with clients of my own in my therapy practice, I think a reframe of how we see something goes a long way of how we define it for ourselves. There's nothing uh, you know, if you think about it, spending hours scrolling on your phone, that in and of itself is innocuous. But how it makes us feel, that's where the problem is. That's where the we have to really kind of examine for ourselves.
Yeah. And so this is where it starts to get very complicated,
Hmm.
is that sometimes one's phone use is just a way to fill time, a habit, you know, want to
Hmm.
do more or less of it, what have you. But
Hmm.
sometimes it's the symptom of a deeper issue, right?
Right.
Am I
Hmm.
on the toilet for an hour while my family's having dinner because I can't put my phone down or because I don't want to be with my family? Am I on the couch with my partner surfing my phone, not talking to them because I'm addicted to my phone or because having challenges in my relationship right now?
Right.
And we're
Right.
seeing so so at that point, you have an individual that could likely benefit from some clinical or coaching support,
Hmm.
right? Sometimes it's executive coaching, executive function coaching around, I need a new bedtime routine because I have ADHD and I have to
Hmm.
really like deal with that. But
Right.
sometimes it's emotional support that's required from a licensed specialist. And
Hmm.
so, like people who have been on Instagram for years might have body image issues that need to be
Hmm.
tackled. And
Hmm.
so, what we're trying to do at Offline Now, use the book and the methodology and the website of resources as a shame-free, easy, short attention span entry point to just allow people to start thinking about this for
Hmm.
themselves. They want to make a change. Let's give them a roadmap, but then
Hmm.
let's instantly connect them with hundreds and hundreds of licensed professionals and coaches who have very deep expertise in areas like LinkedIn FOMO, online dating rejection, relationship stress, grief and loss, all related to digital behaviors,
Hmm.
so that they can book a 15-minute conversation and get that human empathy around the change. Because expecting somebody to do this on their own after using their phone unchecked for 10, 15 years is just an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah, and that's a very good point of I think anytime we want to make some change, I think finding support for that is huge. And I think it's I know one of the things that you talk about is feeling stuck. But yeah, you want to maybe give us an overview of the methodology of Offline Now and just kind
Yeah,
of what
so
that's about.
yeah, like I said, it's a 2 by 2 matrix of motivation and confidence.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, we invite people to answer those two questions on a scale of 1 to 6, and then high and low drops them into one of those four types. And so, one of the things we're using with this methodology is training into like therapists and professionals that enter into a conversation with an individual, perhaps even like a initial consult to see if they're a client, and there's a fit conversation. If that individual repeatedly brings up their phone, it's easy for that individual, for the coach or the therapist to say, "Do you mind if I ask you? Just you keep on mentioning your phone in bedtime. Do you mind if I ask you two quick questions?" Sure. On a scale of 1 to 6, how motivated are you to like put your phone down before bed? 3, not very motivated. Okay, and how confident are you that you can put it down when you want? 2, I'm not confident at all. Okay, so that means you're stuck. Do you feel stuck? Does it sound like you're stuck? And then you hear them out. So it's a way to
Hmm.
instantly build some emotional connection, start to uncover some insights. Here's how I generally approach people who are feeling stuck. Now, my methodology will begin to talk about different ways that you can build motivation and build confidence for someone who's stuck. You can either, on the motivation side, think about what was a time when you didn't feel stuck and how did that feel and do you want to get back there? Or, um, what are some things that you'd really love to be doing right now instead of being on your phone? What would that feel like
Hmm.
to know how to play guitar or be out playing baseball with your kid? Okay, so
Hmm.
let's create some motivation. So there's strategies there, but I'm not dogmatic about it, right? If If someone is an addictions counselor or a marriage counselor or an ADHD coach, they're going to have their own methodologies. Once they've opened the door, they should just continue to leverage what works for them. Because the trick is
Hmm.
just to be a very powerful door opener just for the individual who needs the support, but also for that professional who's looking to grow a client base.
Yeah. You mentioned, I know we talked about this to maybe to shift gears a little bit, is just thinking about the platform that you're creating for
Mhm.
therapists as far as helping them with their marketing and finding clients, because that is talking about feeling stuck and maybe overwhelmed places when particularly the therapist is not feeling like they're getting the caseload and the client load that they
Yeah.
feel like they need.
Yeah,
Um,
it's tough out there, right? I mean, I've watched digital marketing change over the last 20 years, and it hasn't changed to the benefit of the individual, right?
mhm.
Advertising is expensive. Social media is incredibly time intensive. Large language models are disrupting all search. And so if an individual doesn't want to be very public, doesn't want to invest hours online, doesn't want to be a software developer, it can be pretty stuck, right?
Mhm.
And so what we're looking to do is build a directory that's very focused in this niche. We're well on our way. We're inviting people to create a free profile on a site, doesn't cost you anything, and it'll
Mhm.
drive lots of link insight back to your own website. So it builds your own value with large language models and AI and Google just being there. And then we're inviting people to also contribute to the site. So blog. What that does, and in their blog posts, they have the ability to link back to their own sites. And, that connection between a very solid, optimized profile paired with published content against their name, pointing back to their URL and booking link and various other
Mhm.
platforms, does a lot for their discoverability, especially the more people
Mhm.
on the platform, the better it will operate. Um, and we're also inviting members of the community to contribute to the book. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking to build a community platform. And I'd really love to invite you and your listeners and your community to participate.
Yeah. 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 So how do folks, I'm assuming they just go to offlinenow.com?
Yeah, offline.now/join will take you right to the join page. You just pop in your email and
Okay.
you go through a quick builder and we'll have your profile out to you in 48 hours. And if there's anything that you want tweaked or changed, or like we now have occupational therapists, dietitians, recreational therapists, grief
Mhm.
counselors. So as new people join, we're adding new clinical areas to the site, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And so I'm assuming too that part of it is the people that would be coming maybe in search of therapists or maybe struggling with um, things around their internet use and their screen time and that sort of thing.
People are talking to AIs and Google all the time looking for support.
All
And so
right.
we're working really hard to be there. That's why we're inviting people to help us generate content so that, we have Jeff, who's an amazing ADHD coach in San Diego. I mean, he's like publishing a ton with us. We've got
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of people putting together all kinds of interesting things from their own lenses and angles. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because this problem is so enormous and it needs to be solved by the wisdom of the crowd.
Right.
It's sort of an empathy at scale.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I like the way you put that empathy at scale. That not quite heard that before, but that's great. That's great. So, Eli, I know we've got to be mindful of our time here, but what are some parting thoughts that you have for folks?
And if we're talking to therapists, then I would say that this is a massive growing area, and you do not need to be a screen addiction specialist to work in it. I hear all the time from professionals, are you sure I should be on your site? Like I don't have specific screen addiction training. I'm like, do you talk to your clients about their devices at all? All the time. That's all they ever want to talk about. Their kids, their parents, their boyfriends, or this, or that. I'm like, and
Mhm.
do you help them? Yes. Okay. So then you can help people. List on our site. Like, and let's
Mhm.
let's make something happen. Like I firmly believe that people out there are looking, like our data shows that people are looking for support. They're motivated, they're just not confident, and they need human empathy to help bridge that gap. And so
Right.
invite your community to participate.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And we'll have links in the show notes and the show summary for people to get to you easily, Eli. And I'm so glad we had this conversation. I think it's going to be helpful for people.
Likewise, thanks for having me. It's great to meet you,
Yeah,
Gordon.
it's good to have you here.